I am pretty surprised to find that here in Europe, they do make fifth wheel RVs, and they are very different from what we have in the United States. So very curious your thoughts on this. And the main question that I want you to ponder during this video, and let me know down below in the comments, is if something like this were available in the United States, would you consider purchasing it? And we're going to talk about all the differences, all the things that would go into considering that, and a lot of other fun stuff as well. So come on, let's go take a look. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Myles with Firmly Unbound, and we are here in Dusseldorf, Germany at Caravan Salon. This is the largest caravan slash RV show in the world. And we are here taking a look at this Celtic Rambler fifth wheel RV. So this is a pretty unique thing to look at here in Europe because RVs and caravans and different things that they have for leisure travel and recreational vehicles don't typically get this big unless you're going up into bigger motorhomes. And even still, there is just not a whole lot of stuff out here in Europe that is this size. Also, not a lot of trucks out in Europe. In fact, the two trucks in here in this display are the only two trucks that are a half-ton truck that I've seen in all of Europe. So very different than the United States. This is a totally different culture out here in terms of the vehicles that they drive. So pretty interesting how these are legitimately the only two half-ton trucks I've seen in Europe so far. And I've been here for like 4 days now, roaming around. So they do have fifth wheel RVs out here, and this is the only manufacturer in Europe that makes fifth wheel RVs. So pretty interesting how there's a really controlled nature to RV production here in Europe, but with that you get a whole different level of quality. Real quick before we get too deep into this video, I do want to let you know I have another YouTube channel. It's called Firmly Unbound. It's linked down below in the pinned comment and description. So if you're feeling curious and want to go check out how I travel with my RV, that's what the majority of the content is on that page, as well as some other stuff that you might find fascinating. But if you want to check out what it's like traveling around the United States in a travel trailer RV, or a caravan as you say here in Europe, that channel is linked down below in the pinned comment and description. So basically what this brand does here is they are going to make these more tailored to the customer. So it's not necessarily exactly always going to be a custom order, but you can custom order one. They don't typically have these like at a dealership ready for you to purchase. It's more of when you're ready to purchase one, you tailor it to how you want it, and then it takes about 6 months to a year to build. Now let's go through some of the different properties that we're seeing on here, because they don't have specific models or anything like that. They do have two different brands where they have the Celtic Rambler, and then over here we have the Dream Seeker. That's a little bit smaller one, more designed for like a quarter-ton truck, like a Tacoma. They have a Volkswagen truck hooked up to it over there, but this is more of our half-ton size truck. It's still not half-ton size fifth wheel RV, and it's still not very large, but it's designed in a way that it's trying to, be within the weight capacities for a half-ton truck, which is still questionable because this has about a 1,300-pound payload. The truck, I don't know what the payload capacity is. The hitch weight on this fifth wheel RV is about 1,300 pounds. That's pretty heavy for a half-ton truck. By US standards, if I'm reviewing a fifth wheel RV in the United States that has a 1,300-pound hitch weight, I'm telling you to get a 3/4 ton truck. And that's just kind of the nature of what the payload capacities are on half-ton trucks. They're usually right about that, 1,000 to 1,500 pounds on the payload capacity, and there are some exceptions. So something this size is really pushing it for what you should be towing with a half-ton. But I don't even know if people have 3/4 ton trucks here in Europe. So pretty fascinating taking a look at that first. That being said, the total weight of this definitely falls within the towing capacity of a half-ton truck. It's going to be under 10,000 pounds, so don't have to really worry about that spec and metric, but it's really the hitch weight and the payload capacity. So if you're in Europe watching this, I would recommend something like a 250 or 2,500 to tow something this size because of the hitch weight, or you need to make sure you have a very well-equipped half-ton truck like a 150 or 1,500 that has the payload or cargo capacity to support a 1,300-pound hitch weight and still have additional weight left over to fit occupants in the vehicle, to load stuff into the bed of your truck, and to load things into your truck as well. You might load a couple extra 100 pounds just with people and a couple items in the truck that surely will set over the payload capacity for most half-ton trucks with that hitch weight about 1,300 pounds. And then let me convert that to kilograms. So for weights in kilogram, the dry weight on this is about 3,300 kilograms. So only 7,275 pounds on the dry weight there. Gross weight though, so the fully loaded weight is about 4,300 kilograms. And then that is gonna be 9,480 pounds. The payload capacity on this, so that's the amount of weight you can load inside of this fifth wheel RV, that is gonna be about 2,200 pounds, which is about 1,000 kilograms. So pretty nice on that. There's a lot to take a look at on the outside. That's really where a lot of the most important stuff to talk about is, but I just got a window to step inside here where no one is inside, so I'm gonna take advantage of that and we're gonna step inside. This is more of a custom build. This is not so much of their standard floor plan layout. There's a few more customizations in here, but you can see how nice everything looks. I mean, this is, if this came to the United States, this would be one of the nicer looking fifth wheel RVs in the US, especially at this size. And when you see the price, you will expect it to be nice because it is certainly not cheap. Have a really nice looking setting here with two skylights, kind of what we call them in the US. I have figured out they call them what is it? Oh my gosh, I just forgot the terminology. They call it something different out here. It's like a roof latch or a roof, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the word? Anyways, not that important, but they refer to it as something different out here in Europe. But as we look around, you have this two-tone kind of cabinetry design with all of your, stuff here around the kitchen space being this wood tone. This is a really nice lightweight material. We see this from a lot of different caravans out here in Europe, where the cabinets and all the materials here, oh wow, washer dryer connections. Not connection, sorry, but a washer dryer unit here in the living room. I did not even expect that. This is my first time stepping foot in here. I have not been in here yet. You have latches here on the handles, so you actually pull those. And then this looks like it's, again, like a composite material or like thermofoil style cabinet door. I'm trying to make sure that's the correct name on this, but basically it's a lightweight material that is not hardwood, but feels like hardwood. I mean, it is solid like that, but it's a more lightweight material because they really have to try to keep the weight down as best they can. This looks like it is a dishwasher. Yeah, yep, that's a dishwasher. Sorry, I have to, obviously the appliances here, they look a little different. The languages are different, so I gotta look at stuff a tad bit longer. Soft close on those. It's really nice on that. You got your TV here. We got some storage space up above there. Storage space up here as well. Same kind of latch system with those handles there and these. Oh my gosh, yeah, see, we don't really see this in any fifth wheel RVs. Those are really nice hinges where they stop wherever you leave them at, and that's something you see in the higher end motorhomes across the US, but not so much in towable trailers. So curious what you think about this overall interior space. I'm not gonna go too deep into detail about the interior because so much of it is customizable, but you have a fabric here in the seating area, U-shaped dining table in this floor plan, and we'll go look at the other one and see what is different. Along the back wall, got your kitchen space, so in a little L-shaped kitchen, sink in the corner, have your oven spot here with two different oven compartments. Then you got your 4-burner gas stove. First thing I've seen with a 4-burner gas stove out here. A lot of stuff just has a 2 or 3 burner. Got a little, looks like trash bin area. Nice looking spot there for some glasses and a shelf. And then we have our overhead storage. Kind of see what it looks like here. Different areas where we'll see, ducting going through places. Interesting how in the US, they wouldn't really do this in any campers where, out here, it's just kind of like we need a vent fan here. And the only way to get that vented out is to go up through the cabinetry. So you're just going to, deal with it being there. And in the US, it's almost like they would rather, sometimes I see where they have the option where they could do that and they just don't do it. And I guess my suspicion is it's so they don't have that ducting showing in the cabinetry, which I don't think anyone would mind. But there's plenty of times I've seen where that might not always be the case. But also in a lot of fifth wheel RVs, we have a microwave right here, and that will be where our vent fan is at. Have nice Corian countertops on here, so very good material on that. One of the bigger sinks you'll see in any of the caravans or RVs out here in Europe. Nice circle sink there, and then we have a sliding bit of storage right here. I don't know what's open and what's not, but you can see right there, get to those shelves. Nice lighting up through here, light switches, outlets. And then we got pretty small refrigerator and freezer compared to what we're used to in fifth wheel RVs in the United States. But not terrible, definitely not bad. And then we have our microwave right there. So A few differences for sure between like a US style fifth wheel RV and a European style fifth wheel RV, but it's nice. It is really nice. No heat vents in the floor, so you can see all these areas down underneath here. I believe this has like a Comey or Aldi heating system, so it's going to be radiant heat coming through this fifth wheel RV. Interesting, because we do have that in the United States as well, but we only see it in really specific models and brands. Things like New Camp, for example, which actually comes from Europe here. They use that, but not a whole lot of other brands do. Up in this space, we have a twin bed setup, very uncommon in the United States, but we are seeing more of it coming to the US, but not so much in fifth wheel RVs. And this here gives you this twin bed setup with the option to make it into a king size bed. So pretty interesting. They pretty much always give you the versatility for that here in Europe, or maybe not always, but most things have the ability to have that versatility with a twin bed. Have your Truma Aventa air conditioner in here. Now with a 3,000 watt inverter that is on this fifth wheel RV, that is going to be enough power to run this air conditioner. Can't run it forever, but it is going to be able to run it for some duration of time. I just can't get specific on that because it always depends on the amount of sunlight you have, the amount of batteries that you have, things of that nature, which can all be changed based on your preferences. So you can and are already equipped with an inverter that at least can power on this air conditioner and get it running. And then how long you can run that is all going to be dependent on how many solar panels you get and the battery capacity that you have. But really nice setting here. You have some carpet in the steps, so you have a nice spot to step down to with your bare feet or socks. You can see the heat register back underneath there as well. Then we have some shelving along that back wall behind those two mirrors. So the bed actually takes up this entire space here. So both of the beds go up against the wall. They are in a framed out area. So you see how there's that wood framing piece there. Kind of will help with making the bed just a little bit. Ceiling height up here is also pretty decent. And then we have a TV right there. Now I'm curious what you guys think the price might be on this. Let me know down below in the comments. We are going to take a look at it eventually. We'll get to it. But you can see the ceiling height here, even with the AC, where this is the shortest part up in this upper deck. Still good for about 6'4" or so. I'm standing at about 6'2" with my boots on today. And then you'll have a little bit more ceiling height, about 6'5", where the AC is not. As I get back behind the camera, we do have our bathroom space here. Oh my gosh, Megan would love this too. We have a full body mirror right here, so you can get the full body mirror there, which a lot of RVs do not have, especially in the US. We found a lot of RVs do not give some sort of option for a full body mirror. Great looking bathroom space. Have your towel rack right there, so towel warmer. Really big mirror, nice lighting in here, great lighting underneath your cabinetry. Got a vent fan in this area. And then we have our shower in the corner. Great space on that shower. Wow, this is one of the bigger showers we've seen in anything out here. So kind of more like what we're used to. It's all really well done, really good materials, a circular kind of shape there in the base. And then this is all waterproof wall materials, but it's not like a molded fiberglass. It's like an actual, it's like a fiberglass panel that feels a little bit thicker than the molded fiberglass. So it feels really, really good. And it's, I mean, really great height in here. You can see as I step in, plenty of ceiling height here to work with. You could be about 6'5" or so and still be comfortable in there. And the shower head will get all the way up to the ceiling, so you can stand under it. Do have to duck to get out of the shower there though, that's for sure. Does it come back this way? Got some storage areas in here, some hooks on the door, and then that is pretty much everything. We got our wardrobe closet right here. Wow, nice lighting that comes on when you open that up. Kind of had like a soft turning on of the light there, but very beautiful inside and out. So let's go outside. Let's hop outside real quick and show you what's going on with the outside construction. But you can tell everything in here is very nice. Even just everything back behind here. It's all like solid wood materials. It's not going to be Luan. So that's a huge difference there. And then when I come outside, full fiberglass shell all the way around. So we start looking at different areas on this fifth wheel RV. This is all fiberglass all through here, your back walls, the base of this RV, your underbelly, it's all enclosed with molded fiberglass. So very different. You can see kind of some of the plumbing that's going on down underneath here, the wiring. The doors, we'll take a look at this where we can open this door right here. They have a double seal system on there. And then this is your water heater. So it's a, I can't see Yeah, it's an Aldi heating system. Okay, there. So you have your exhaust vent right here, and then you have that Aldi heating system for the interior of the coach. That's going to be that radiant heat source that is a really, really nice system that we don't see in, I don't think there's any fifth wheel RVs in the United States that are using that I know of. But like I said, full fiberglass shell on here. So as I come back around this way and you look at the front cap on this fifth wheel, like this is all molded fiberglass with no seams in it. Very nice. And it's a full molded fiberglass roof, molded fiberglass underbelly. It is really, really impressive. You also get like big storage space down up underneath here. Quite a bit bigger, and then the frame structure here is even a bit different than what we look at and what we see in the United States down through this area. Keep in mind, this is the only fifth wheel RV manufacturer in Europe though, so it's pretty fascinating how that's the case out here. Have your pin box up front, pretty standard and basic on the pin box, nothing really, exceptional going on there. It looks like it has really, robust construction though, but no, serious like shock absorption or springs or anything like that we see in the United States from a lot of brands nowadays. Cable driven slide mechanism. I know there's mixed reviews on that in the US, so curious your thoughts on it having a cable driven slide mechanism. They must seem, with this being the quality that it's at, the standards and regulations that they have here in Europe, feels like that is suitable for what they need. So interesting, because I know there's a lot of mixed reviews on that within the United States. Down through here, got your battery compartment here, you got a battery charger there, likely coming from your inverter system or your solar system. Again, you can see all your doors have these twist locks that are going to, see how they come in and out, they're going to seal that door shut. It's pretty neat there. Got your propane underneath here, it looks like. Yeah, both of your propane tanks will go in that area. And then we have what looks like under here, water pump, some different water stuff down under here. See even some of the backing of the materials. See how thick basically those are the materials they're using for like your walls, stuff like that. It looks really nice, really good. This is locked, but this is your cassette toilet. So that's another strange thing on these RVs out here. Everything has a cassette toilet. They don't have black tanks that sit under the underbelly. And my assumption on this is, I'm just kind of pondering it and thinking about it more. They're so regulated on the weights of their caravans out here or their RVs that they have to do so many very tailored and specific things to keep their RVs under specific weights so that they can legally be towable in Europe. Way more regulations and restrictions on stuff like that. So having a big black tank on board probably isn't even an option because it's going to take up too much weight. So you have these smaller cassette style black tanks here where it's basically going to be like a suitcase that you pull out of there for your black tank that you can dump at a dump station, in a toilet, whatever you want to do. Coming down underneath here, let's see what they got going under here. Even like molded fiberglass under the slide out box. That's pretty crazy. This is all fiberglass here. Yeah, I mean, this is all way, look at the seals there. There's no silicone. Yeah, the precision on this is much, much better for sure. And again, keep in mind that question I asked at the beginning. I'm curious if you guys would actually consider purchasing something like this if it was available in the US. Looks like we got an independent style suspension system down underneath here. So if we look down there, you can see each wheel is kind of on its own axle and looks like it's on a torsion axle. So don't know that for 100% certainty, but that's what it looks like from what I can see on the camera screen. So that's going to be acting as more of an independent style suspension there. And then as we get up from underneath here, try not to get stuck, come this way. Got some storage space here. That's where the trash can is on the outside. Can't get to anything under here, but even everything back here, look, that's very thick plywood back through here. It's not like nothing is thin. Nothing is thin. So curious what you guys think a price might be on this, and then if it's something you would purchase. Got your dual pane acrylic windows, or they're like a polyplastic window. No ladder to get up onto the roof, so I can't get up there unfortunately, but we'll get the camera up there. See what you can kind of get it set up with a motorcycle or scooter rack here along the back. Kind of nice there. And then let's get the camera up on the roof and see what we got going on up there, what you can see at least. So get you up there, get you a look. It should be all molded fiberglass up on the roof. I just don't know how much solar is up there. And then give you a look at like the seals and the seams and everything for you to take in. I wish there was a ladder so I could get up there and look at it, but you'll have to look at it yourself and make your own assessment on that. And then we can see there will be various different options as well that you could get a fifth wheel RV like this built with. So for instance, this one has this armless awning on it. And then on this one, you do not have an awning. So that's one of your options. Kind of interesting because in the US, like everything will come with an awning, but that's not really standard here. And then as we look down underneath here, we have that 3,000 watt inverter. And I mean, just look at how dang clean everything looks. Yeah, it'll disappoint you a little bit about the US. You can see the materials there for like what the foam insulation looks. But even like these backing walls here are all fiberglass. So this is the wall between your little storage door here and then your storage space up front there. So just really different, and it's really cool to take a look at, but man, it does make you wish that like there was a little bit more of this standard in the US until we get to the price. I do want to walk you inside this one here, so we will do that, but I'm going to talk about the price now because this is where it really gets a little tricky. We can see right here, looking at this, the price on this is 202,000 euros. So that's going to convert to about $238,000. So you're looking at about double the price of a Brinkley fifth wheel RV for something like this. Now this one here, I don't know if they have a similar price on it or if it's a little bit different because the build on this is a little bit different. Yeah, this one here is 157, so not quite as customized, but even still, that is going to put this dang near a 200,000 US dollar fifth wheel RV. That's only 27 feet. Is that something that you would actually legitimately consider purchasing in the US? Because that is what it costs to make something that is built to this level of quality and this standard. So I think there's a lot to be said for how special Europe manufacturing is for having stuff like this that exists and having it as an option. There's something to be said for the US market where we have stuff where you can buy a fifth wheel RV for $35,000 in the United States. That is literally like almost a tenth of the price of something like this. So we have much more variety of options. Now my suspicion is a lot of people will say they want this level of quality. This is what they want. They dream about this. But then when they actually go to spend their money, they're gonna buy the biggest thing that they can possibly get for the least amount of money, regardless of what the quality is. And maybe you'll justify spending a little bit more for a little bit more quality, but that's just what I've seen the trend tend to be. So curious what your thoughts are on this being, $150,000 to $200,000 in, the price on these fifth wheels and what you would do if this was an option that was available. But in the US market, if you're familiar with different travel trailers, this is basically like an Oliver trailer or a casita, but in a fifth wheel. That's the level of quality. And in the US, the Oliver trailers and casitas that are small travel trailers, like the size of small Airstreams, I mean, those sell for like $80,000 to $110,000. So it doesn't surprise me that this is the price that it is. Does it surprise you? And that's pretty much everything walking through these units. Very curious your thoughts on what you think, because it's just so different from the United States, and it brings up a lot of questions, and I think there's interesting conversation to be had around that. I mean, my mind is just blown away by how impressive these are. Even just like your entry door, so different from what we see in the United States. You got your shade there in the window already installed that you don't, that'll always be the case. You don't have to worry about whether or not you got to purchase one. See different interior color schemes on this here, so just slight variations in what we see here. See like a more traditional bed set up in this bedroom, but still same size bedroom nonetheless. Got your space on both sides of the bed. Skylight in here. Don't have the lights on in here, unfortunately, so it looks a bit darker. Different wood colors, so you have those different options as well. See the LED lighting up over the top. Kind of has like a blue hue to it just a little bit. But even like your roof materials here is all fiberglass. I mean, it's really remarkable how good the construction is in here, but it's pricey, man. Like up in here, that is, basically like a perfect little seam right there. It does feel like it has like a, whatever the same material is they use on the outside for where their pieces of fiberglass come together, but no crown molding up there or anything to, kind of cover up imperfections. No Luan or anything like that in the sidewalls. Don't even have like Asdel or, composite sidewalls like that, because it's molded fiberglass. It's going to be far better than any of those, kind of standards that we are used to in the United States. So curious your thoughts on that. that's just about everything. If there's questions that you have, if there's something that I missed, there's so much I could talk about on this topic, and I find it really fascinating, but I have to move on and film some other things. And it's really hard here at a show with the amount of people that are here. So curious your thoughts on what you think about fifth wheel RVs like this, if it's something that you could see yourself purchasing or not, and then just your overall thoughts. That's all I got for y'all. Appreciate you watching, and until next time, live firmly unbound.